Listen to your favorite shows live and on demand 24/7. Download the 77 WABC mobile app now. A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Joining us now to talk about this, and also, as you brought up, Judge Weinberg, about the threat from Iran and what's going on. Biden, apparently, the president, had a very tough call where apparently he was scolding the prime minister of Israel, saying essentially, you shouldn't be taking out the bad guys. I mean, it's really crazy. Joining us now is Professor Alan Dershowitz. Professor Dershowitz, first off, your reaction on all the Secret Service stuff before we get into Israel.
Well, I wrote a piece about it saying the Secret Service should now have one job, just protecting people like the president. It should be merging with the FBI and with other groups whose job it is to protect. It should be out of the counterfeiting business and other businesses. And it's failed in its current incarnation, and it has to change and become a preventive intelligence agency, which, along with diplomatic intelligence, with the U.S. Marshal's Office, merges together, and there should be one group that protects everybody, exchanges intelligence, should have the best communication system. Here there was a failure of the communication system. It was a mess. But I want to get to Iran because, I wrote a book called Chutzpah. Chutzpah means unmitigated gall. And if it's true that the president of the United States lectured Netanyahu and told him not to start bumping off assassins and murderers and terrorists, what incredible chutzpah. What Biden should have called Netanyahu and say, oh, by the way, we owe you $5 million.
Exactly
because
right.
We had a bounty out on this guy from Hezbollah who killed 230 Americans. Thank you so much for killing this guy. A check in the mail for $5 million. And he would also say, and by the way, we killed Osama bin Laden, who posed no threat at all. It was for pure revenge. It was the right thing to do. And if we could kill Osama bin Laden, certainly Israel could kill ongoing terrorists who are in the middle of planning, killing children like the people who were killed in the Golan Heights. What incredible chutzpah. The United States killed Soleimani. As you know, probably, there's a fatwa out on Americans, including the former Secretary of State, because the Americans killed Soleimani. So what is Biden saying? We can do it. We're the most powerful nation in the world. We don't have anything to fear for our absolute security. We're not going to ever disappear as a country. But you, Israel, a tiny country the size of New Jersey, with a tiny population, vulnerable on all sides, double standard. You can't kill these people who are trying to kill you. What incredible chutzpah.
And
unbelievable gall.
It's more than gall. It's foolishness and stupidity on Biden's part, because remember, he was the only one in the Obama cabinet who uttered a voice against going after bin Laden. So
and the bin Laden thing was pure revenge. By the way, it probably was a war crime because Obama issued an instruction: do not take him alive, even if he raises his hand in surrender. Kill him, take his body, and throw it into the ocean where nobody will know where his remains are. That was probably technically a war crime. I'm glad he did it. He deserved, obviously, Osama bin Laden, but technically it was a war crime. If a president orders the killing of somebody, when there's a chance to get him to surrender, we don't know whether or not Osama bin Laden, who was a coward, threw his hands up when he saw that the brave SEALs were going to come and kill him. We don't know that. But the idea that the United States would lecture Israel on targeted assassination. Let me make one more point, very important. When this all started, do you know what Biden told Netanyahu originally? Don't go into Gaza with airplanes. Just use targeted assassinations. Just kill the bad guys. Kill all the people who participated on October 7th. So now they're doing that, and Biden's saying, oh, by the way, you can't go in with bombs. You can't go in with drones. You can't kill people with targeted assassinations.
So what can you do?
Assassinations are good.
Right.
They just target the bad guys.
Also, by the way, he also, according to this Axios report, said, if you escalate again, don't expect the United States to bail you out. That's terrible. Vito Fossella, you have a question for Professor Dershowitz.
Professor, and as we all know, this is not a normal time in the Middle East. Israel is fighting for its very survival as it's under siege since October 7th. And, the fundamental question is if Hezbollah's attack and killing innocent people is not a justification for a response, and if we can't kill, or Israel cannot kill the leaders of some of the worst terrorist organizations in the world, then at what point can Israel defend itself? And at what point does the U.S. say, we're with you? So my question to you, Professor, one of the smartest guys I know, what's really going on? What's really happening that they could convince?
Is the two-state solution that is Minnesota and Michigan. All the administration is thinking about now is winning the Muslim votes. That's why there's pressure from the hard left to say, pick anybody for vice president, but not a Jew. Doesn't matter that Shapiro has no views different than any of the other vice presidential picks. The hard left, the anti-Semitic hard left, is threatening, is saying we're going to blow up the convention if you pick a Jew. Can you ever imagine that in the United States of America there would be that kind of threat from Democrats and people on the left? And I just want to thank Staten Island. I want to thank Richmond. They are the borough, I think, that stands up for Israel and Jews more than Manhattan and more than any other boroughs. And I just want to, I think, I grew up right near the Verrazano Bridge, and I used to go to Staten Island when we had picnic days and things of those kinds. And I just love Staten Island. So I just want to tell you how much I think so many of us appreciate the support.
Vito's smiling right now.
Well, we stand with Israel. Staten Island stands with Israel, Professor. And right after the October 7th attacks at the Jewish Community Center on Staten Island, we convened a bipartisan delegation of elected officials and the Jewish community to let them know Staten Island stands with them. So thank you very much.
Bravo. Yeah. Professor Dershowitz, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Beautiful.
Let's make sure justice and a single standard prevails. And let's put an end to chutzpah by this administration.
Yeah, it is shocking. Thank you, Professor.
Have a
great weekend.